3 days had passed since the Everlast crossed into uncharted space. The ship moved steadily forward, its massive engines pushing it deeper into regions no human had ever seen. Captain Doan had barely left the bridge during that time. He ate his meals there, drank his coffee there, and sometimes even slept in his command chair. His crew had grown used to seeing him at all hours, watching the sensors, waiting. Lieutenant Yuna was the first to notice something strange. She had been running a routine scan of the surrounding space when her displays flickered. Numbers appeared that did not make sense. She checked them again, then a third time, her heart beginning to beat faster. "Captain," she said, her voice cutting through the quiet of the bridge. "I'm detecting something. Multiple energy signatures, bearing 047. Distance, approximately 200,000 kilometers. Dawan rose from his chair immediately. "What kind of signatures?" Yuna's fingers moved across her controls, adjusting the sensors, trying to get a clearer picture. "They're artificial, sir. Definitely not natural. I count." She paused, her eyes widening. "I count 40 separate signatures. They appear to be vessels." The bridge fell silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing. 40 vessels. After 300 years of searching, of wondering, of hoping and fearing, humanity was about to meet another intelligent species. Commander Hana moved to the tactical station, her calm expression never changing, even as her mind raced through possibilities. "Configuration?" she asked. "They're arranged in a sphere formation around a central point," Yuna replied. "It looks like they're guarding something. Or someone." Dawn walked closer to the main view screen. "Can we see them?" "Adjusting visual sensors now," Yuna said. The screen flickered, and then the image appeared. 40 ships, arranged in perfect formation, floating in the darkness of space. They were sleek vessels, painted in shades of silver and blue. Their design was elegant, almost artistic, with curved hulls and flowing lines. Each ship was perhaps 1 kilometer long, making them impressive by any standard except one. They were tiny compared to the Everlast. "They've seen us," Hana reported, her eyes fixed on her displays. "I'm detecting increased power readings from their vessels. They're charging weapons. Shields to full strength," Dohon ordered. "But do not charge our weapons. I repeat, do not charge weapons." The officers exchanged glances but obeyed without question. The Everlast shields hummed to life, invisible barriers of energy wrapping around the massive hull. Dohan watched the alien ships carefully. He needed to know their intentions before he decided on his own. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer announced. His name was Juno, a young man with quick hands and an even quicker mind. "It's in an unknown language, but I'm running it through our translation software." "How long?" Doan asked. "The computer is working on it now. Our software has protocols for exactly this situation. It might take a few minutes." Those minutes stretched like hours. The alien ships remained in their formation, their weapons charged, their intentions unknown. Dahan could feel the tension on the bridge like a physical weight. His crew was scared. They were excited. They were about to make history, and they knew it. The translation software finally produced results. Junho listened through his earpiece, his face showing surprise and confusion in equal measure. "Captain," he said slowly, "I have a partial translation. The message is a warning. They're telling us to stop our approach and identify ourselves. They call themselves the Velen Collective." "The Velen Collective," Dohan repeated. The name meant nothing to him, of course, but it was a name. It was proof that they were dealing with an organized civilization, not just random ships. "Can we respond?" he asked. "I believe so," Junho replied. "The software has learned enough of their language to construct a basic message. It won't be perfect, but they should understand us. Then open a channel. Junho worked his controls, and a soft tone indicated that the channel was open. Do-hun straightened his uniform and stood tall. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. He could not afford to show weakness, but he also could not afford to show aggression. "This is Captain Do-hun of the Earth vessel Everlast," he said clearly. "We come from a planet called Earth, located in a region of space far from here. We are explorers. We mean you no harm. We wish only to communicate and learn about each other." He nodded to Junho, who closed the channel. The bridge waited in silence. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Do-hun began to wonder if his message had been understood, or if the translation had failed somehow. Then the reply came. The main view screen flickered, and a face appeared. It was not human. The being had gray skin, large dark eyes, and a narrow face that tapered to a small chin. Its features were smooth, almost delicate, and it wore a uniform of deep blue that seemed to shimmer in the light. When it spoke, its voice was translated by the ship's computer into words Do-hun could understand. "I am Admiral Taiwu of the Velen Collective Defense Fleet." The alien's voice was calm but firm. "You have entered space claimed by the Collective. Your vessel is—" The Admiral paused, and Do-hun could see something change in those dark eyes. Was it confusion? Fear? "Your vessel is unlike anything we have encountered before. Explain yourselves." Do-hun kept his voice steady. "As I said, Admiral, we are explorers. Our species, humanity, has traveled the stars for 300 years. We have always wondered if we were alone in the universe. Today, we have our answer. We are not alone." The Admiral studied him through the screen. "Your ship," Taiwu said slowly. "It is enormous. We have never seen a vessel of such size. Is it a weapon of war?" "The Everlast is a Titan-class warship," Do-hun admitted. There was no point in lying. Their sensors would have already analyzed the weapons covering the hull. But we did not come here to fight. We came here to explore and to meet other civilizations. We extend our hand in friendship." Admiral Taiwu was silent for a long moment. Behind him, Do-hun could see other Velen officers moving nervously at their stations. They were clearly alarmed by what they were seeing. The Everlast was 12 times larger than any of their ships. Its weapons could probably destroy their entire fleet in minutes. And yet, the humans were claiming to come in peace. "You bring a warship of that size," Taiwu finally said, "and you speak of peace. Your words and your actions do not match." "I understand your concern," Do-hun replied carefully. "In our history, we have learned that the universe can be dangerous. We built the Everlast to protect ourselves from unknown threats. But protection and aggression are not the same thing. We have no desire to harm you or your people." The Admiral's eyes moved to something off-screen. He was clearly receiving information from his officers. Do-hun could imagine what they were telling him. Sensors showing the power of the Everlast shields. Readings of the weapon systems. Calculations of what would happen if they tried to fight. When Taiwu looked back at the screen, his expression had changed. The calm authority was still there, but beneath it was something else. Caution. Maybe even respect. "Very well, Captain Do-hun of Earth," the Admiral said. "We will not fire upon you, but you will hold your position while we report to our leadership. Any movement toward our worlds will be considered an act of war. Do you understand?" "We understand," Do-hun said. "We will wait." The screen went dark as the transmission ended. The bridge remained silent for several seconds before Commander Hana spoke. "That went better than I expected," she said quietly. Do-hun allowed himself a small smile. "The day is young, Commander. We have taken the first step, but there are many more steps ahead. He returned to his command chair and sat down, his eyes never leaving the formation of alien ships. Somewhere out there, decisions were being made that would shape the future of two civilizations. Do-hun could only hope those decisions would lead to friendship rather than war. The waiting began. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation deck. Captain Don stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the darkness of space unfold before him. He had served in the Earth Defense Fleet for 23 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Behind him, the bridge of the Everlast hummed with quiet activity. Officers moved between stations, checking systems, monitoring readings, and preparing for what lay ahead. The Everlast was not an ordinary ship. It was humanity's greatest achievement. 12 kilometers long from bow to stern, the Titan-class warship was a floating city in the void of space. Inside its massive hull lived 30,000 crew members. They had engineers, doctors, soldiers, scientists, and families. Yes, families. Because when humanity built the Everlast, they did not build just a weapon. They built a home that could travel between the stars. Do-hun turned away from the window and walked toward his command chair. His boots made soft sounds against the metal floor. Around him, the bridge was alive with holographic displays showing every system of the ship. Power levels, shield strength, weapon status, life support. Everything was green. Everything was ready. "Captain," a voice called from the navigation station. Lieutenant Yuna looked up from her screens, her dark eyes reflecting the blue light of her displays. "We are approaching the boundary. 5 minutes until we cross into uncharted space." The Do-hun nodded slowly. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Inform all departments to maintain readiness." Yuna turned back to her station and began sending messages throughout the ship. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic controls. She was young, only 28 years old, but she was one of the best navigators in the fleet. Do-hun had personally requested her for this mission. The mission was simple in words, but heavy in meaning. The Everlast would be the first human vessel to travel beyond the explored regions of space. For 300 years, humanity had spread across the stars, building colonies on distant worlds, mining asteroids, and creating a civilization that spanned dozens of solar systems. But always, they had stayed within known space. Always, they had been cautious. That time was over. Commander Hana approached from the tactical station. She was a tall woman with sharp features and a calm presence that Do-hun had always admired. They had served together for 15 years, and he trusted her completely. "The crew is ready," Hana said quietly. "I've spoken with all department heads. Everyone understands the importance of what we're doing." "Good," Do-hun replied. He looked at her for a moment. "Are you ready?" Hana allowed herself a small smile. "I've been ready for this my whole life, Captain." Do-hun understood exactly what she meant. Every human who looked up at the night sky wondered the same question. Were they alone in the universe? For centuries, they had searched for signs of other life. They had sent signals into the darkness. They had listened for replies. But space had remained silent. Some people believed they were alone. Others believed the universe was simply too large, and they had not looked far enough that the Everlast would answer that question one way or another. "Captain," Yuna called again. 1 minute to boundary crossing. The bridge grew quiet. Every officer stopped what they were doing and looked toward the main view screen. The stars ahead seemed no different from any others. Just points of light in an endless sea of black. But beyond that invisible line lay the unknown. Do-hun pressed a button on his chair, and his voice echoed throughout the entire ship. "This is the captain speaking. In less than 1 minute, we will cross into uncharted space. We carry with us the hopes of all humanity. Whatever we find out there, we face it together. We face it as one people, united in our curiosity and our courage. May our journey bring us wisdom, and may we return with stories worth telling. Everlast, forward. He released the button and sat back in his chair. The seconds passed slowly. Yuna counted down softly, her voice barely above a whisper. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ship crossed the boundary. For a moment, nothing happened. The stars remained the same. The ship continued forward. Dohan had not expected fireworks or dramatic changes. Space did not care about human boundaries or milestones. But still, he felt something shift inside him. They had done it. They were now farther from Earth than any human had ever traveled. "We are through," Yuna announced, her voice carrying a hint of wonder. "We are officially in uncharted space." A soft cheer rose from the bridge crew. Officers smiled and exchanged glances. Even Commander Hana allowed her smile to widen, just for a moment. Dohan stood from his chair and looked at his people. These were the brave souls who had volunteered for this journey. They had left behind families and friends, knowing they might never return. And yet, here they were, ready to face whatever the universe had waiting for them. "Excellent work, everyone," Dohan said. "But our mission has only begun. Return to your stations and stay alert. We do not know what awaits us out here." The officers nodded and turned back to their work. The celebration was brief, as it should be. They were explorers, yes, but they were also soldiers. The Everlast was a warship, after all. Its hull was covered in weapons powerful enough to crack planets. Its shields could withstand the fury of the sun. Humanity had learned long ago that the universe could be dangerous. They had prepared accordingly. Hours passed. The ship moved deeper into uncharted space. Dohan remained on the bridge, watching the sensors, studying the stars. His crew worked in shifts, resting when they could, always ready to respond to any emergency. The Everlast functioned like a well-made clock, every part moving in perfect harmony. In the crew quarters below, children played in the corridors while their parents worked. In the medical bay, doctors treated minor injuries and monitored the health of 30,000 people. In the engineering section, teams of workers kept the ship's massive engines running smoothly. Life continued aboard the Everlast, even as they traveled into the unknown. Dawn finally allowed himself to rest late in the ship's artificial night. He lay in his quarters, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what might come. First contact with an alien species had always been a dream of humanity. But dreams could become nightmares. He had studied history. He knew what happened when different civilizations met for the first time. Sometimes there was peace. Sometimes there was war. Sometimes one civilization simply erased the other. The Everlast was built for any possibility. As sleep finally claimed him, Dohan made himself a silent promise. Whatever they found out there, he would protect his crew. He would protect humanity. And if the universe wanted a fight, he would give them one they would never forget. The stars continued their eternal dance outside his window, keeping their secrets for just a little while longer. 8 hours had passed since the first transmission ended. The Everlast remained still in space, exactly where Admiral Taiwu had ordered them to stop. Captain Dahan had not moved from the bridge. He watched the alien fleet through the view screen, studying their formation, noting every small change in their positions. The Valan ships had not relaxed. Their weapons remained charged. More ships had arrived during the waiting period, bringing their total number to 62. They had formed a thick wall between the Everlast and whatever lay beyond. Dahan understood their fear. If an alien warship 12 kilometers long suddenly appeared in human space, he would have reacted the same way. "Captain," Lieutenant Yuna called from her station. "I'm detecting another ship approaching from their space. It's different from the others." larger with different energy signatures. Doan leaned forward. "Show me." The view screen shifted to display the approaching vessel. It was indeed larger than the other Velen ships, perhaps 2 kilometers long. Its hull was decorated with symbols and patterns that suggested importance. A flagship, Doan realized. Someone of high rank was coming to deal with them personally. "They're hailing us," Junho reported, on screen. The image of Admiral Taiwu appeared once more, but this time he was not alone. Standing beside him was another Velen, older, with lines on his gray face that spoke of many years. This one wore robes of white and gold instead of a military uniform. When he spoke, his voice carried weight and authority. "I am High Speaker Munho of the Velen Collective Council," the elder Velen said. "I have been sent to determine your intentions. You claim to be explorers, yet you arrive in a vessel built for war. Explain this to me." Dohan rose from his chair and faced the screen directly. "High Speaker, I thank you for speaking with us. You are correct that the Everlast is a warship. Humanity built it to defend ourselves. In our 300 years among the stars, we have faced many dangers: asteroids, radiation storms, hostile environments. We learned early that space is not kind to those who are unprepared. And yet you have not fired upon us," Minho observed. "You could have destroyed our fleet easily. Our sensors tell us your weapons are more powerful than anything we possess. Why do you hold back?" "Because we did not come here to fight," Dohan replied simply. "We came to explore, to discover, to meet other civilizations and learn from them. War brings nothing but suffering. We know this from our own history. Humanity has fought too many wars among ourselves. We have no desire to fight wars with others." High Speaker Minho studied him carefully. The old Velen's dark eyes seemed to look right through Doan, searching for truth or lies. Beside him, Admiral Taiwu remained silent, watching the exchange with obvious tension. "Your words are pretty," Minho said finally. "But words are easy. Actions tell the true story. You say this ship is for defense. How many such ships does your species possess?" Doan hesitated. He knew this question would come eventually. The truth might terrify them, but a lie would be discovered sooner or later, and then all trust would be lost. Commander Hana stepped forward and spoke before Dohan could answer. "High Speaker, the Everlast is the first of the Titan-class warships. It is our largest and most powerful vessel. But it is not our only ship." Minho's eyes narrowed. "How many?" "The Earth Defense Fleet currently maintains over 400 vessels of various classes," Hana continued calmly. "Additionally, each of our colony worlds has its own defense force. In total, humanity operates approximately 2,000 military ships." The effect of her words was immediate. Admiral Taiwu stepped back, his face showing open shock. Even High Speaker Minho seemed to pale, his gray skin turning a lighter shade. Behind them, Dohan could see the other Velen officers reacting with similar alarm. 2,000 ships, Minho repeated slowly. "And this vessel of yours, it is merely a scout?" "Not exactly a scout," Dohan said. "The Everlast was built for long-range exploration and first-contact situations. It is equipped to operate independently for extended periods. But yes, there are other ships that could follow if needed." The silence that followed was heavy. Dohan could almost see the calculations running through Minho's mind. The Velen Collective, whatever its size, was suddenly facing the possibility that they had encountered a civilization far more powerful than themselves. Everything they had known about their place in the galaxy was changing. "You must understand our position," Minho said carefully. "The Collective has existed for over 1,000 years. We have met other species. Some became our friends, others did not. When a species arrives with overwhelming military power, it usually means only one thing: Conquest, Dohan said quietly. Yes, conquest. Dohan took a deep breath. This was the moment that would define everything. He looked at Hana, who gave him a small nod of encouragement. Then he turned back to face the screen. Hi, Speaker Minho, I will be completely honest with you. Yes, humanity is powerful. We have built weapons that could destroy worlds. We have technology that would amaze you. In a war between our species, we would almost certainly win. He paused, letting those words sink in. But we have not come here for war. We have come here because we believe that the universe is too vast and too wonderful for any species to face alone. Minho remained silent, so Dawn continued. On our home world, there is an old saying. The measure of a people is not in their strength, but in how they use it. Humanity has strength. We know this, but we choose to use that strength not to conquer, but to protect. Not to take, but to share. We offer you our friendship, High Speaker. We offer you partnership. We offer you the chance to build something greater together than either of us could build alone. For a long moment, no one spoke. The Velen officers looked at their leaders, waiting for a response. Admiral Taiwu's hand rested on his weapon, ready for anything. High Speaker Minho stood absolutely still, his ancient eyes fixed on Dawn. Then, slowly, the old Velen did something unexpected. He smiled. You speak well, Captain Dawn of Earth, Minho said. Your words carry the weight of truth. I have met many beings in my long life, and I have learned to recognize honesty when I hear it. He turned to Admiral Taiwu. Stand down our weapons. High Speaker, Taiwu protested. We cannot simply stand down our weapons, Admiral, Minho repeated firmly. If they wanted to destroy us, we would already be dead. Their captain speaks of peace, and I choose to believe him. Taiwu hesitated, then nodded slowly. He spoke quiet commands, and throughout the Velen fleet, weapons began to power down. The tension that had filled space for the past 8 hours began to ease. Captain Dawn, Minho said, turning back to the screen. I am old. I have seen much. I have learned that sometimes the greatest danger is not the enemy outside, but the fear inside. Today, I choose not to be ruled by fear. I choose to welcome you on behalf of the Velen Collective. Dohan felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had not realized how tense he had been until that moment. Thank you, High Speaker. You will not regret this decision. I hope not, Minho replied. Now, perhaps you would like to come aboard my ship. We have much to discuss, and I believe it would be better to do so face to face. I would be honored. The screen went dark. Commander Hana let out a long breath she had been holding. We did it, she said softly. We actually did it. Dohan nodded, but his mind was already racing ahead. This was just the beginning. The real work was about to start. Building trust would take time. Building friendship would take even longer. But for the first time in human history, they had the chance to do both. He turned to his crew. Prepare a shuttle. We have a meeting to attend. The Everlost had proven its worth. Not through weapons, but through words. And Captain Dawn intended to keep it that way. The shuttle bay of the Everlast was busy with activity. Captain Dawn stood near the shuttle, watching his crew prepare for his departure. He had chosen to bring only a small group with him. Commander Hana would accompany him, along with Lieutenant Yuna and 2 security officers. A show of trust required a small party. Bringing an army would send the wrong message. Everything is ready, Captain, the shuttle pilot reported. His name was Ji Wu, a veteran pilot with steady hands and calm nerves. Good. Let's not keep the High Speaker waiting. They boarded the shuttle and lifted off from the bay. Through the windows, Dohun watched the Everlost grow smaller behind them. The massive warship looked even more impressive from outside, its dark hull stretching across space like a floating mountain. He felt a surge of pride. Humanity had built this. Humanity had reached the stars. And now, humanity was about to change the galaxy forever. The Velen flagship grew larger as they approached. Up close, Do-Han could see the details of its construction. The hull was smooth and elegant, covered in flowing patterns that might have been decorative or might have served some purpose he did not understand. The ship was beautiful in a way human vessels were not. Humans built for function first. The Velen clearly valued beauty as well. Jiwoo guided the shuttle into the Velen ship's docking bay. The space was smaller than the Everlast base, designed for vessels much smaller than their shuttle. Do-Han noticed the Velen engineers watching with wide eyes as the human craft settled onto the deck. They had probably never seen a human shuttle before. Everything was new to both sides. The shuttle door opened, and Do-Han stepped out. The air smelled different here, slightly sweeter than the recycled air of human ships. The gravity felt slightly lighter as well. These small differences reminded him just how far from home he truly was. A delegation of Velen waited for them. High Speaker Minho stood at the front, his white and gold robes flowing as he moved forward to greet them. Admiral Taiwu stood behind him, his expression guarded but no longer hostile. "Welcome to the Voice of Unity, Captain Don," Minho said. His translator device rendered his words into human speech with only a slight delay. "You are the first of your kind to step aboard a Velen vessel. History is being made today. Thank you for receiving us, High Speaker," Do-Han replied. "The honor is ours." Minho gestured for them to follow, and the group walked through the corridors of the ship. Do-Han observed everything with careful eyes. The walls were curved and smooth, decorated with images of stars and planets. Soft light came from hidden sources, creating a warm glow throughout the vessel. Crew members stopped to stare as they passed, whispering among themselves in their own language. They arrived at a large meeting room. A circular table dominated the center, surrounded by seats designed for Velen bodies, but adaptable enough for humans to use. Windows lined one wall, offering a view of space and the distant shape of the Everlast. Once everyone was seated, Minho spoke. "I have many questions, Captain. But first, I must share something with you. When we first detected your vessel, we were afraid. Your ship is larger than any we have ever built. Your weapons are more powerful than anything we possess. We believed you had come to conquer us." "I understand," Do-Han said. "Fear is a natural response to the unknown." "Yes, but then I studied your vessel more closely." Minho leaned forward. "Do you know what I found most surprising? Not your weapons. Not your shields. Not your engines." He paused. "Your life signs." Do-Han raised an eyebrow. "Our life signs? Our sensors detected 30,000 individuals aboard your vessel. 30,000. And among them we detected—" Minho hesitated, as if still processing what he had learned. "We detected children. Young ones. We detected what appeared to be schools, playgrounds, gardens. You have built not just a warship, but a city. A home." Commander Hana nodded. "The Everlast is designed for long-term missions. Our crew lives aboard with their families. We have everything needed for a full life during our journey." Admiral Taiwu spoke for the first time since the meeting began. "No species builds a home inside a weapon unless they plan to use that weapon carefully. A commander will hesitate before risking his own children. This tells us something about your intentions." "Exactly," Minho agreed. "This is why I chose to trust you. Any species that brings their children into the unknown is not looking for war. They are looking for a future." Do-Han felt a warmth spread through his chest. The High Speaker was right. The decision to bring families aboard the Titan-class ships had been controversial back on Earth. Many had argued it was too dangerous. But others had insisted that exploration without family, without future, was empty. Now that decision had helped build a bridge between two civilizations. "Hi, Speaker," Dohan said. "I would like to offer you something. A gift to show our good intentions." Minho tilted his head. "A gift?" Dohan reached into his uniform and pulled out a small data device. He placed it on the table and slid it toward Minho. "This contains information about our medical technology. We have developed treatments for hundreds of diseases, cures for conditions that once killed millions of our people. We offer this knowledge freely, with no strings attached." The room fell silent. Minho picked up the device and studied it, his old eyes filled with wonder. "Our people have a disease," he said quietly. "It affects the young. We call it the fading sickness. Slowly, over many months, affected children grow weak until they cannot move, cannot eat, cannot live. We have searched for a cure for generations. We have never found one. May I see the medical data on this illness?" Hannah asked gently. "Our doctors might be able to help." Minho looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded to one of his aides, who hurried out of the room. Minutes later, the aide returned with a vellum medical tablet. Hannah took the tablet and began studying the data. Her eyes moved quickly across the unfamiliar language, now translated by her personal device. The room waited in tense silence as she worked. "Captain," Hannah said finally, looking up with a strange expression. "I've seen this before. Not exactly the same, but similar enough. The fading sickness appears to be caused by a genetic error in cellular energy production. Humans had a similar condition centuries ago. And?" Dohan asked. "We cured it. The treatment involves gene therapy to repair the faulty genetic code. It's a standard procedure now. We perform it on affected human children within the first year of life. It has a 98% success rate." Minho gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles turning pale. "You can cure the fading sickness. We would need to study your biology more closely," Hannah said carefully. "There may be differences between our species that require adjustments. But yes, I believe we can develop a cure. Possibly within months." Tears appeared in Minho's eyes. Admiral Taiwu looked away, his own face showing emotions he was struggling to control. Around the room, the Velen aides whispered to each other in shocked voices. "For generations," Minho said, his voice breaking, "we have watched our children die. We have buried them, mourned them, and wondered why the universe was so cruel. And now you tell us that the answer has been waiting among the stars all along, waiting for us to find each other." Dohan reached across the table and placed his hand near Minho's. It was a human gesture of comfort, and he did not know if the Velen would understand it. But Minho looked at the offered hand and then placed his own hand beside it. "This is why we came," Dohan said softly. "Not for conquest, not for power, but for this. For the chance to help, for the chance to heal, for the chance to build something better together." Minho nodded slowly. "Then let us build it, Captain. Let us build it together." Outside the windows, the Everlast hung in space, a reminder of humanity's strength. But inside that room, something even more powerful was being created. A bond between two peoples. A hope for a brighter future. The revelation was complete. The real work was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the first meeting between humanity and the Velen Collective. In that time, everything had changed. The Everlast remained in Velen space, serving as a bridge between two civilizations that were rapidly becoming friends. Captain Dohan had sent messages back to Earth, informing the government of what they had found. The response had been overwhelming. More ships were coming. Scientists, diplomats, teachers, and doctors were on their way to help build something new. The cure for the fading sickness had been developed in just 4 months. Human and Velen scientists had worked together day and night, combining their knowledge to create a treatment that worked perfectly on Velen physiology. The first children had been treated 1 month ago. Already, they were showing signs of recovery. Parents who had expected to bury their children were instead watching them run and play for the first time in their lives. Doan stood on the observation deck of the Everlast, watching the space station being constructed nearby. It was a joint project, designed and built by both human and Velen engineers. The station would serve as a permanent meeting place between the two civilizations, a place for trade, for learning, for friendship. Commander Hana joined him at the window. She looked tired but happy. The past 6 months had demanded everything from her, and she had given it willingly. The Velen Council has finished their deliberations, she said. They've agreed to the Alliance proposal. Full partnership between the Velen Collective and the Earth Federation. Mutual defense, shared technology, open borders for trade and travel. Doan smiled. That's good news. Very good news. There's more. High Speaker Minho has requested that you attend a ceremony tomorrow. The Velen want to honor you personally for what humanity has done for them. I was just doing my job, Dohan said quietly. You changed the history of 2 civilizations, Hana replied. That's a bit more than just doing your job. The next day, Dohan traveled to the Velen capital world for the first time. The planet was called Velen Prime, a world of blue oceans and green forests that reminded him painfully of Earth. The shuttle descended through clouds and emerged above a city of tall towers and flowing architecture. Everything was beautiful here. The Velen had built their civilization with art in their hearts. The ceremony was held in a great hall that could have contained the Everlast's entire crew. Thousands of Velen had gathered to witness this historic moment. Dohan walked down a long path toward a raised platform where High Speaker Minho waited. He felt the eyes of an entire civilization upon him, but he kept his back straight and his step steady. Minho greeted him with a warm smile. The old Velen looked healthier than he had 6 months ago. Hope, Dohan realized, was a powerful medicine. People of the Velen Collective, Minho announced, his voice carrying throughout the hall. 6 months ago, a ship appeared in our space. A ship larger than any we had ever seen. We were afraid. We believed our end had come. He paused, letting the memories settle over the crowd. But we were wrong. Instead of conquerors, we found healers. Instead of enemies, we found friends. The humans did not come to take from us. They came to give. The crowd murmured in agreement. Many of them had children who had been saved by the new treatment. Their gratitude was personal and deep. Captain Dohan of Earth, Minho continued, turning to face him. You represent a species that chose kindness over cruelty, generosity over greed, peace over war. You showed us that strength does not require violence. That power can be used to protect rather than destroy. On behalf of the Velen Collective, I thank you. He placed a medallion around Dohan's neck. It was made of a metal that shifted colors in the light, crafted with incredible skill. The symbol on it represented unity, Minho explained. 2 circles joining to become one. Dohan looked out at the crowd. Thousands of gray faces looked back at him, their dark eyes filled with emotion. He thought about the journey that had brought him here. The years of training, the long voyage through space, the tense moments of first contact. All of it had led to this single moment. High Speaker, he said, his voice steady despite the emotion he felt. Admiral Taiwu, citizens of the Velen Collective, I accept this honor not for myself, but for all of humanity. We are a young species. We have made many mistakes in our history. Wars and violence and cruelty have marked our past. But we have also learned. We have grown. We have chosen to be better. He paused, gathering his thoughts. When we built the Everlast, some asked why we were building a warship when we had no enemies. My answer was always the same. We built it to be ready for anything, to protect ourselves and to protect those who might need our help. Today, I am proud to say that the Everlast has fulfilled its purpose. Not through weapons, but through healing. Not through force, but through friendship. He raised his hand in a gesture of greeting that was becoming universal between the two species. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders. We do not know what other civilizations we might meet as we explore together. Some may be friendly, some may not. But whatever we find, we will face it together. Humanity and the villain, partners, friends, family. The crowd erupted in applause. The sound was strange to human ears, a combination of clapping and a musical humming that was uniquely villain, but the meaning was clear. They were celebrating not just Dohan, but the future that both species would build together. Later that evening, Dohan stood alone on a balcony overlooking the Velen capital. The twin moons of Velen Prime hung in the sky, casting silver light across the sleeping city. He thought about his crew waiting aboard the Everlast. He thought about his family back on Earth, whom he had not seen in nearly a year. He thought about all the humans and Velen who would be born in the future, growing up in a galaxy where their species were allies rather than strangers. High Speaker Minho joined him on the balcony. The old Velen moved slowly, but with quiet dignity. "You are thinking deep thoughts," Minho observed. "I am thinking about the future," Dohan admitted. "What we have started here, where it might lead." Minho nodded. "When I was young, I dreamed of meeting another species among the stars. I wondered if they would be like us, if they would understand us, if they would accept us." He smiled softly. "I never imagined they would save our children. We only did what anyone would do," Dohan said. "No," Minho shook his head. "That is where you are wrong. Not everyone would do what you have done. Many species would have conquered us, taken our resources, destroyed our culture. You chose a different path. That choice was not automatic. It was a decision your people made. A decision that defines who you are." Dohan considered those words. He supposed the High Speaker was right. Humanity had faced a crossroads when they first encountered the Velen. They could have been conquerors. With the power of the Everlast, nothing could have stopped them. But they had chosen peace. They had chosen help. They had chosen love. The galaxy was astounded when they saw our ship, Dohan said quietly. They expected monsters. They found friends. "And that," Minho replied, "is the greatest gift you could have given us. Not technology, not medicine, but hope. Hope that the universe is not as dark as we feared. Hope that even in the endless void of space, there is warmth and kindness waiting to be found." The two of them stood together under the alien moons, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Everlast orbited patiently, a guardian watching over its new friends. Somewhere out there, more ships from Earth were on their way, carrying more people ready to build bridges between worlds. The galaxy had been astounded by humanity's arrival. But this was only the beginning. The true wonder was still to come. Captain Dohan smiled and looked up at the infinite stars stretching above him. The universe was waiting, and humanity was ready.